shall be known by the company
Hi there,
we keep,
my name's Tercy
by the
Engelhardt,
ones
and I want to
who
welcome you
circle
to the
round in
Unreasonably
pennies,
Grateful podcast,
by
Living in Grace by Choice. And every week I share some version of, I'm so grateful you're here. I'm grateful to be sharing my journey with you and for you to be sharing your journey with me. I do believe that we are journeying together in this life. And oftentimes, the support of one another, the sharing of experiences can ease our journey, help us take the next step or see things that perhaps we hadn't seen before. I always say I don't have your answers because I don't, but I believe you do. And those answers, I believe, are inside of us. And it takes something to be able to access them. It's not like they're always readily available. And listening to somebody else's story, because there are so many similarities in who we are, oftentimes just kind of loosens those nuggets and allows us to grasp the meaning of them and incorporate them into our own lives. So grateful for the opportunity to do that. If you're just joined, I've been sharing this last episode and this episode about an automobile accident I had recently, and you can probably go back to the illusion of control and catch up if you're just listening in for the first time or perhaps didn't listen to last week's. And this episode can stand on its own as well. So every week as I shared with you, I kind of listen for what's up. And I'm still in this amazing bubble of gratitude that's post accident, where I have access to being grateful in ways that, although I've practiced gratitude for over 20 years and I know it's available, I don't always access it. And maybe it takes a crisis or some big wake up moment for us to do that. But it's truly like this breath. Can I be grateful for this breath? This person, can I be grateful for this person? And so, for those of you that communicated with me, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, it was really great to hear from you and to hear what you had to say. And I appreciate it. I appreciate when you reach out and I get to hear something back from something that I've shared. It's meaningful and helpful. Okay, so this particular episode is called What Matters Most. And I just want to share with you kind of the ongoing process post accident that I'm in. As I mentioned to you, I don't really know what happened. What it's being called is an unexpected momentary loss of consciousness. Now, you could say I fell asleep. The only thing was I wasn't tired. Like when you're tired and you're driving, you drink coffee, you stop, you run around, you roll down the window, you sing, you call someone, have them talk to you, you do something. But I actually wasn't sleepy that I was aware of. Anyway, I've been to the local doctor here. Fortunately, I had just recently had a whole series of blood tests, and I'd also done a full heart workup. And as I shared with you in a previous podcast, I got to see a sonogram ultrasound of my heart, which was amazing. And so I knew that it wasn't like the top symptoms for that, which are a stroke, a blood clot, stroke, heart attack. I was pretty clear it wasn't those things. Now, could you have a blood clot or a stroke and have just done all that? Sure, you could. But the fact that my vitals were completely normal immediately after the accident just led us not to go down that path. But this particular physician said, it sounds like it could be sleep apnea. Now, I don't know much about sleep apnea. Neither does my husband. But oftentimes, I think those things that we judge or criticize or make fun of come back to teach us a lesson. So, anyway, I reached out to people I knew who had sleep apnea. I asked questions, I read everything I could about it. And I started to discover that, yes, in fact, some of the symptoms of that I have experienced and do experience. And there is a fear of driving if you're someone who has sleep apnea, something called, I don't know what it was called. I don't know, momentary sleepiness, or I don't know. It was called something. Anyway, I have an appointment tomorrow, a video call appointment with my primary care physician so that she can request ordering an in home test because I don't live in an area where they have those clinics where you can go spend the night. They hook you up and they tell you exactly what's going on. And while I'm not a specialist in sleep apnea, I do recognize that, wow, I have had some of those symptoms for a good while. I can fall asleep very easily. Um, my husband wanted me to watch a video the other day on YouTube. Now, it wasn't something I was particularly interested in, but I was certainly willing to watch it with him. It's 14 minutes long. And I don't know, 5 minutes into him, he nudges me and he goes, "See, you just did it." So I can fall asleep easily. I'm one of those people who can kind of sleep anywhere. And I do keep myself busy. I am an active person. So when I stop, sometimes I guess I can sleep. However, I don't think that's what happened. So, anyhow, we'll see what to be continued. When I take this test, I'll find out something. I did notice that when I was reading about it, there was this hope, this not hope I have it, hope for seeking an answer because the last thing I want to do is get into another automobile and have the same thing happen unbeknownst to me and either hurt myself or hurt someone else. It's the last thing I want. And while I've certainly thought about the accident a lot and it comes up for me, I work, as Father Rob said, staying away from the what ifs. What if I had, what if this had happened? And I just stick with what did and allow myself to let the grace and the gratitude in. I am continuously grateful for this breath, this other moment of life, and that no one else was injured. So today in my devotional, interestingly enough, it was referencing a scripture about what will you be doing, what will you be thinking, uh, when the Son of God comes, when God comes, what will you be thinking? And it was talking about how I don't think that any of us want to fall asleep. And whether it's, you're driving tired, which is what this actually said, or, you just want to do one more thing or progress further in this, or you're always putting off and on this treadmill of working towards something, achieving something, adding one more thing to your resume or whatever that might look like for you. I don't think that's what is being encouraged. I think what's being encouraged is, can we live in that state of gratefulness? Can we constantly appreciate this moment of life, this person in our world, this opportunity, this time? Can we stay in that state and not let ourselves get distracted? And that's the goal. And while I've practiced gratitude for a long time, I'm well aware that there's a level of gratitude that's always available but rarely accessed. And I desire to develop my ability to access it more often. And I invite you to as well. There's something amazing about that level of thankfulness. So, to be continued as I discover more about what actually happened. While the physical things are handled, the truck was towed, insurance claim was settled, Matthew's found another truck, he'll be picking it up shortly. I'm not driving at this point. And there is this emotional healing process that's going on that I'm embracing and allowing the space and the time for. So I want to share with you a little bit more about that. what it feels like. Um, so I notice that something's changing, but I'm not efforting to change it. That's new for me. I am someone, the people who know me, who would say she tries really hard. I was a competitive athlete. Even my recovery, there was an element of I was given these steps and I worked at these steps. Um, I'm an achiever. I work hard. I put my all into things. And so this new experience I'm having has gotten my attention. And I'll give you some examples of what that looks like. So the other day, a friend was over and she was trying to work out how to pay me for something through Venmo. And she was on a call with the bank and we were having that conversation. And then Matthew called me and he was having trouble with something he was doing on his computer and he wanted me to help him. And it's not that I'm actually not computer savvy, but I'm persistent. I don't give up. I don't get frustrated and quit. So I'm a good person to help with things. At least I can kind of step by step try to figure it out. But what I noticed was I could go between these moments and not feel pulled or stressed or even challenged. There was this patience and peace that I wasn't working toward or trying to get to. And it reminded me of when we're in church and the priest can say, "Peace be with you. May God's peace be with you." People say peace to one another. And it's one thing to say it, it's one thing to try to experience it or do it or be it. It's another thing to have the experience without effort. And that's one of the experiences that I'm having. There is a sense of peace that feels as if it has just landed on me. And I'm not trying to be peaceful. I also am somebody who always makes my bed, always does the dishes. In fact, I could say I've prided myself on, I've usually done all the dishes that it takes to make a meal before we sit down for the meal so that the only dishes to do at the end are the ones on the table. The other night I noticed I sat down when dinner was ready and I hadn't finished all the dishes from preparing the meal. And I just was able to let them be. And I wasn't thinking about not doing that or trying not to do that. It just sort of happened. Another time, there was a glass I really like, inside of a bowl, and I dropped a metal mug on it in the sink and it broke. And I didn't have thoughts that I always have when I break something or something doesn't work out of how stupid or that was dumb of me or upset about it. I just didn't have those. It was more like a glass broke and I cleaned it up and threw away the pieces and went about what I was doing and just noticed the different experience I was having without trying to have a different experience. And I've seen other examples of it. And so it's more like I'm seeing it while it's happening rather than I'm thinking about it before it happens and trying to do it. There's no effort, there's no efforting on my part. So I'm sitting with that. There is a calmness. There is a slower inner pace. There's less chatter. That's the best way I can describe it. And I'm just noticing and letting it be. So, one of the things that I think would be great for us to do together this week is to make a list of what matters most to us. Because that's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that what matters has my attention, and what doesn't matter doesn't. and I'm not trying to shift my attention. So maybe if all of us, without a crisis, without some kind of emergency experience, took a look at what are our organizing principles of our life, hopefully the organizing principles are what matters most to you. That what you think about, what you talk about, where you invest your time, your energy, your money, that's what I mean by your organizing principles. Hopefully those match what matters most to you. And that you're putting your attention, what matters most to you is how you organize your day, your life. And so let's do that this week. There are things like the glass that just don't matter. And there are other things that do matter most to me. And that's what's captivating my attention. And living with those as the organizing principles of my life, I'm experiencing a level of peace that I don't think I've ever experienced before. So I invite you to do that. Let's do that together. And I'll be here next week and I'll share more with you what I've discovered in this journey of healing. So, first of all, I want to make sure you know you matter. Have a beautiful week, and I'll be here next week.
We shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.